Well, as the sitting week wraps up, the parliamentarians are pushing to pass lingering legislation. MPs are sparring over another matter of apparently national urgency, getting Taylor Swift to their respective states. Liberal MP Andrew Wallace is launching a petition to have the international pop star at a Queensland show to her Australia tour next year. That's just been announced.
Today, I'm talking to you about Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. As the dad of 4 daughters, ranging between 20 and 31. I've spent many years driving my daughters around listening to Taylor Swift, and I am an absolute convert.
She'll have 5 concerts in February. Melbourne and Sydney only, though. Mr Wallace says he's found a blank space in her itinerary where she could make it to the Sunshine State.
There is about a week in between her 3 concerts in Sydney and her 2 concerts in Melbourne. And that is a perfect opportunity. Taylor, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you, I'll get down on my knees if I have to. Please come to Queensland.
WA Labor MP Patrick Gorman, well, he's pushing the case for a Perth concert.
It is an opportunity to get one of the best performing artists in the world, in the best city in Australia, at the best stadium in Australia. This is a match made in heaven, and we should make it happen.
Joining me live now is Liberal MP Andrew Wallace here in the studio. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
It sounds to me like a dad with 4 daughters has had a bit of pressure applied to him, and they said, come on, you say you're pretty important. What can you do for us here?
No, I can honestly say there's no communication between my girls and I on this issue. This is absolutely driven by me.
Right. So did you get them into Taylor? Are they Taylor Swift fans?
They're all, with the whole family's Taylor Swift fans, but I'm probably the number one.
You're the number one?
I am, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. What led to it? You like the tunes, the catchiness?
She's a 12-time Grammy Award-winning artist.
You're all over the stats here as well.
Oh, yeah, well, her earlier work, which was country and western stuff, I really enjoyed. Okay. She went into sort of a bit of the pop later on, which, it was a bit iffy on, but then she went into some folk stuff. And that folk, the country and western early stuff, the folk stuff, I really love.
I'm going to sound old here because I just looked up today that a fan is called a Swiftie. So you're a Swiftie.
I am definitely a Swiftie.
All right. Favourite song?
All Too Well.
I'll pretend I know that. I'll probably know it when I hear it.
It's part of her folk music genre. She's an amazing woman, a young woman who's done so well and very well respected around the world with her terrific skills. What's
interesting is, do you think, this venue they're going to build in the middle of Brisbane by the state and federal governments for the Olympics, that could be the sort of thing that might get these types of acts in the future to Brisbane? Is that a missing cog here? That'd be a state-of-the-art venue right in the city?
Well, it would be, but I think what's more important is that I'm pitching for the Sunshine Coast. So a couple of years ago, we had Elton John and his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour to the Sunny Coast, at the Sunny Coast Stadium. It's a boutique stadium. I've already been on the phone to Grantley Switzer at the Sunshine Coast Council this morning. He's confirmed with me that the window of opportunity between the Melbourne tour and the Sydney tour is free at the Sunshine Coast Stadium.
So you're really trying to put all the things in place.
I am, absolutely. Why wouldn't I be? I mean, this is a terrific thing for Queensland if we can get her here.
Yeah.
It's not just young people that enjoy Taylor Swift. It's people of all ages.
Well, are you calling yourself an old person?
Oh, no.
It's a question, not a suggestion. I'll be careful here. All right. Well, look, you've got a conflict of interest clearly, but you're making it
absolutely
obvious. All right. Let's move on to The Voice as well. The PM's seeking to clarify what The Voice would advise on. Matters specific to Indigenous Australians and matters affecting Indigenous Australians. This is within the explanatory memorandum. Do you welcome that sort of clarification?
Well, I think what the PM is trying to do is, in effect, rewrite history. I mean, the bill itself the ink hasn't even dried.
On the question, you mean?
Well, not just the question, but effectively the change to the Constitution that is being promoted talks about giving The Voice the opportunity to make representations to the executive and the Parliament. Now, there's nothing in the proposed wording of the change to the Constitution which talks about matters specifically relating to
So you think the
communities.
explanatory memorandum element needs to be in the Constitution?
I think The opportunity has passed now. I mean,
but that's what you think should have been in there. That if you're going to put it in the explanatory memorandum of the bill, why not have it in the Constitution itself? That specificity.
Well, what the courts do is when they're interpreting legislation, they look to see whether the meaning of the word, the ordinary meaning of words. Now, you would only go to what's called extrinsic material, namely the explanatory memoranda or the second reading speech of the Attorney General, if the wording is ambiguous or obscure. So is the Prime Minister now saying, whilst the ink is still wet on the bill that's passed the Parliament this week, is he conceding that what they're proposing is ambiguous or obscure, such that they now need to go to extrinsic material? Is that
but
what
it's
he's
still
saying?
there. I mean, perhaps it's about making a minimalist change to the Constitution and having the explanation there. Because ultimately, as well, remember, it's the Parliament that legislates the voice.
Subject to the Constitution, and that's the issue. Subject to the Constitution, the Parliament shall make laws in relation to the voice. That is the issue. So when the High Court is called upon to make a statutory interpretation as to what that provision means, making representations to the Executive and the Parliament, if the Court is satisfied that the ordinary meaning of that is that it's going to mean everything from parking tickets to submarines, as numerous people have said.
Some have disputed that. Just on that as well, but it's worth pointing out, representation. I mean, they're not laws. It can't make laws, the voice, right? It just makes suggestions. So we're arguing over where it can make suggestions or who it can make suggestions to.
We're arguing about the breadth of its jurisdiction.
Yeah, understood. Well, it doesn't have jurisdiction in the sense that it doesn't make laws.
No,
It gives advice.
but it has jurisdiction insofar as does it have the ability or the width of areas than which, but it's not advice, Tom. So this is the thing. The wording of the proposed wording is very clear. It doesn't talk about advice.
It says representations.
It says representations. What does that mean?
That's not making laws.
But hang on. What does that mean? The drafters of this proposal have chosen to use the word representations, not advice, as Linda Burney used that term in question time yesterday. What does the word representations mean? To what extent does Parliament need to listen to those representations? And
well, it also stipulates the Parliament has the power to make laws. I mean, that's clear as well.
Subject to the Constitution. This is the difference. You can't out-legislate the Constitution. You know, the Constitution can only be changed by a referendum.
Can I just ask to finish off as well?
Yeah.
All this debate around Australia Day. Would it be logical for the voice to be able to give advice or make representations on Australia Day? Is that an issue that is core for Indigenous Australians, would you say?
I would suggest that it is matters. Even if you took the Attorney General's second reading speech and you looked at matters specifically relating to Indigenous people, Indigenous Australians, there is an argument that...
Is that fair enough, though? That's a question.
Well, no,
should be able to make a representation.
The question does the proposed referendum words, does the changes to the Constitution, does that require or enable the voice to
but what
make
I'm asking is, would it be fair enough? Let's say it did. Is that fair enough? Should that be a core issue that they do have a voice on?
Well, I just so we're very clear, I would oppose a change.
Sure, but I'm just about whether this should be something they should be advising on.
But it's something that they would be enabled to make representations.
Okay,
to.
got to leave it there, a bit short on time.
No worries.
And you're excited today with your Maroons. Andrew Wallace, thank you.